Hello, welcome back. I'm going to talk about Karl Marx today. What would Marx have done? That's a strange question to ask, but not really, not really. Marx, we give a lot of credit for bringing a lot of destruction to the world. And we still talk about him today, and we still have big debates on his philosophy and this and that and the other thing, but I think what we really have to do is look at Marx just as a human being, and probably what Marx really wanted to do was something good for mankind. And he was looking at capitalism. By the way, nobody invented capitalism, it just sort of happened. But because it was happening, we had to give it a name. And they called it capitalism. And you know what? It wasn't perfect. We'd never done it before. Let's see, Karl Marx wrote Das Kapital in 1867, I believe, somewhere in the mid-1860s. That was, to give you perspective, that was when the United States was just ending the Civil War. We ended it in 64, 65. And the world was changing, and the world was changing quickly. And capitalism was coming online, and people were talking about capitalism and not really understanding what it was. And Marx didn't understand what capitalism was, but he understood that it caused problems. There were people suffering, there were people getting rich, there were people who were getting poor, and he came up with a solution. Now, I think, in all honesty, he was actually trying to present a good solution. But what was Marx's fundamental problem? He didn't understand freedom. He didn't understand how freedom worked at all. And that, to me, today is a problem. Today, people don't understand freedom. They don't understand how it works. They don't understand why it works. And we have a lot of people who get into the argument quickly of capitalism versus Marxism versus socialism. Which is better? Which should we use? Which brings more happiness? Which brings prosperity? Well, the answer, once you know how freedom works, is relatively easy. I mean, real simple. And that's the purpose of my talk. Marx had no clue how freedom worked. He had no clue about the principles. And it's clear in his writings and what he proposed. So let's go back to the foundations. When people talk capitalism, they start with capitalism. But they never ask themselves the simple question, what created capitalism? I mean, we have it, we call it, we name it, we see it, but nobody's ever asked, what creates capitalism? It's really simple. It's the foundations of freedom. And the answer is competition, waste, and ease. Now, competition, waste, and ease didn't just come from out of the blue. They came from nature. You know that thing, nature, that we all live in, the earth, our planet, where our home is? Yeah, that nature. I mean, if you're going to discuss life on earth, wouldn't you want to discuss how nature works? You know what I mean? Being that's from where we all came from. Okay, you've all heard the term, there is no waste in nature. All right. There has to be a mechanism to eliminate waste. If there is no waste, what gets rid of it? And the answer is competition. Competition is the mechanism that eliminates waste. All right? So, competition and waste are connected. I like to picture them like a seesaw. Competition on one end, waste on the other. When competition goes up, waste goes down. When competition goes down, waste goes up. And of course, the last thing, maybe the most important thing we have to understand about nature, is everything in nature moves to ease. It's easily proven These concepts are all self-evident. You don't have to have anyone explain them to you. You can explain them to yourself. You put food out for an animal, what's he going to do? He's going to eat it. And if you keep feeding an animal, what's going to happen? He's going to get dependent on you feeding him, and he's going to stop competing, and he's going to lose his competitive edge. Competition, waste, and ease. Now, why do I say capitalism started from the principles of nature? Well, let's look at the marketplace. Capitalism came from the marketplace. The marketplace is where all goods and services are traded, voluntarily traded. And everything that we trade is to make our life easier. I mean, why would you trade if it didn't make your life easier? That's what we do. We trade all the time. We trade because it makes our life easier. So we call that the marketplace. Competition eliminates waste in the marketplace. Any business has to continually eliminate waste or it's going to go out of business. Joe Rogan mentioned this famously on his podcast. He says, private sector business has to compete. Now compare that to government. Government doesn't have to compete. Why? Because it's government. It's singular. There is no competition with government. It's a really simple prospect. So, capitalism was created by people being allowed to compete, by people being allowed to eliminate waste. With our natural tendency to move to ease, we want things better, faster, simpler, cheaper, easier. That's what life is all about. That's what the marketplace is all about. That's what capitalism is all about. Now, is it a perfect system? No. Has it gotten better? Yeah. Is nature a perfect system? Pretty damn good. Is it brutal? Yeah. Yeah, nature's tough. Go try living out in nature. Capitalism is not brutal like nature. There are things we have done to regulate, and we are humans. It is our nature not to always be right. We get things wrong. We get things wrong a lot. Which brings us back to Marx. I think Marx, well, he was 30 years old when he wrote Das Kapital. Now, I'm 70, and when you're 30 years old, guys, you really don't know what you're talking about. You try, and God bless you, it's a good thing that you're trying and thinking and working, but it takes time. We all go through it, and you ask anyone who's over 30, and they say, yeah, at 30, I didn't know that much. So here we have Marx. He's at 30. He's trying to do good. He sees a problem with capitalism. He says, how can we change this? He says, let's let government run everything. He says, let's make the government our beacon of light. Well, you can't make the government your beacon of light. And the simple reason is there's no competition in government. Now, this is a thing economists have gotten wrong forever. They think socialism is a marketplace system. No, socialism is a government system. Government runs the economy. Government runs the marketplace. You take your orders from government. Government feeds you. Government gives you retirement. Government gives you health care. Government gives you this and that. And it sounds just really great, except for one thing. It ignores entirely how the world works. The world works by competition, waste, and ease. And with a single government, you don't have competition. So you know what you're going to have? You're going to have waste. And because there's no competition, the waste is never going to go away. There is no mechanism to eliminate waste. So the innovation that you get in the marketplace with capitalism doesn't happen with socialism. It can't. There's no competition. This is the fatal flaw of Marx and his whole theory. And I like to think that Marx was probably a good guy. And I like to think that even though he has created disastrous situations, millions, hundreds of millions of people being dead in the name of socialism, I think if Marx had understood how freedom worked, he wouldn't have touched socialism with a 10-foot pole. In other words, I don't think he was an evil guy. I think he was trying to do the right thing. I think he was sincere in his beliefs. But boy, did he get it wrong. Remember, the world works by competition, waste, and ease. Competition, waste, and ease create capitalism. We forget that. What? Capitalism just happened. Yeah, nobody invented it. Well, how did it come about? Capitalism came about by competition, waste, and ease. Our desire to move to ease, our desire to earn money, our desire to make life easier, to innovate, to get that edge, to compete, that created capitalism. Socialism eliminated all of that. And they're not equalities. They're not both economic systems. We have to remember that. Capitalism is a marketplace system. Socialism is a government system. And for that reason, it can never work. Until next time, Freedom Revealed, pick up a copy, impress your friends with your knowledge. And remember, everything you read from Freedom Revealed is self-evident. Nothing complicated. You prove it to yourself. All for now. Thanks.